You're listening to
Fox Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Fox Talk Radio. I'm Tom.
And I'm Amy.
This week on Fox Talk Radio, we've got a whole host of interesting and exciting stories. The protest in Newquay over asylum seekers staying at the Beresford Hotel, Fairtrade Fortnight promoting sustainability on campus, and a live guest interview with Falmouth Student President Luke Court. We'll start with today's national headlines.
The former Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has had 100,000 of his WhatsApp messages from during COVID leaked to The Telegraph by the ghostwriter of his book, Isabel Oakeshott. She says that it's a matter of public interest and denies any wrongdoings.
This week, 200,000 National Education Union members are engaged in 3 days of protest over working conditions and pay. Today, teachers across London, the South East, the South West and Wales are striking, with more disruption set to come later in the month as teachers take a real-time pay cut due to the rate of inflation.
The third and final inquiry into the Manchester Arena bombings after an Ariana Grande concert in 2017 has been published today. It highlights the radicalisation of the bomber and the roles of security and counter-terrorism services. It's also World Book Day. Tom, what's your favourite book?
I would have to say the Bible, really. But I think just really its impact on the world is just unprecedented. Can you think of another book that's moved my hearts and minds over the world?
Well, no, not particularly. I guess it's the bestseller as well, the Bible.
That's straight. And who did you dress up when you were younger on Book Day?
Ironically, I did dress up as Boo from Monsters, Inc., which isn't a book, so...
Oh.
On Saturday the 25th of February, 2 opposing protests took place outside the Beresford Hotel in Newquay. Caitlin Wheatley spoke to members of the opposing protests to find out more.
Refugees are welcome here!
Tension built as a large group of protesters in support of the asylum seekers gathered outside the hotel as they awaited what was to be an opposing rally, coming to cause distress to those inside.
Also, we don't want racists to be able to get in or near the hotel, really, because we want to protect the people that are in there.
Most expressed their concerns about the lack of unity within the Cornish community. Here's what a few had to say.
I'm here because I think this is a terrible thing that could be happening in Cornwall. These people are refugees. They're not migrants, they're refugees, they're seeking asylum, and we need to actually protect them from anybody who's going to say they don't have the right to be here. And this is not the sort of county we are. It's not the sort of country we should be. We should accept everybody, and we should help people when they need help.
We're here to help protect and stand up for all the refugees who are being hounded by the rhetoric being spread around by this government, spreading an anti-racist tone. It's not going to happen. We need to defend these people. They've already left a war-torn country or places which we fund. That's got to stop. These people need our support. We will give it.
It wasn't long for the opposing side to form and build in number, and their reasonings seemed to lie in the hands of financial concerns and their rights as British citizens.
I'm here today because if you're white, British, you've got no rights, you've got no vocal cords to talk to anybody, nobody cares.
We have to pay to live in this country. They're getting paid to live in our country. Where's the fairness in that? Where is the fairness in that? There is no fairness in it.
There's workers now going to food banks. Disgraceful. Workers going to food banks. £10 million a day for them lot. And they're all throwing their passports in sea.
And what do you hope to achieve by standing here today?
To send them back home.
That everybody else
back home.
The country realises how much it's costing. The time the borders were closed completely. There's no room here. Where are they all going to live?
Police presence grew due to violent expectations spread online.
I'm a tactical advisor, police tactical advisor. I'm just here to make sure that we use the right legislation to make sure that everybody here is kept safe. Okay, so we've got 2 opposing groups here. They've got an absolute right to protest, both of them have, and we're just here to make sure that they don't meet and that any issues are caused and that the wider public aren't affected outside of this protest as well.
Unity came true on the pro-refugee side as the sound of drums kept them going before the opposing rally had thinned to nothing.
Next up, we catch up with the latest at Ships and Castles Leisure Centre, with hope still in the air of reopening the site following its controversial closure this time last year. Pablo Wolves-Blanco reports.
Saturday the 4th of March will mark the 1-year anniversary of the closure of Falmouth Ships and Castles Leisure Centre. The decision to close the pool has left hundreds in Falmouth disappointed and shocked, none more so than swimming teacher and member of Pendennis Leisure, Gemma Lawley.
Having just been up to the site this morning, it's really heartbreaking to be in an empty pool where, as you said a year ago, children and families were still swimming up there and they were using the pool. So, yeah, the pool is empty and we can't reopen it because of the cost involved in doing so and the fact that the cost to keep it running would be too much for us. So, it is closed and now we've got a huge area of Cornwall, the largest populated area with no public swimming pool, which is awful and really sad, but also not to mention, we've got kids that can't swim and we're surrounded by water. So not good.
Many like Gemma are left baffled by the fact that no public pool is available for people to learn to swim, despite the skill being so important in a place like Falmouth.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm a swimming teacher. For me, the ability to learn to swim should be for everybody to have. Everybody should be able to access swimming lessons, children, adults. We've got lots of adults that can't swim as well locally. It shouldn't be a kind of luxury. It should be something that's accessible to everyone. And as we know, it's not accessible to everyone because we don't have that public swimming pool. We don't have much in the way of other facilities. We have few small hotels, but they're not adequate for swimming lessons. They don't provide swimming lessons. They don't provide a lot of time for children and families to swim in some cases. We don't have that facility. And some people are having to travel to Truro or, Carnbray or Helston. And that's fine. Some people can afford to do that and afford time-wise to do that. But there's a lot of people that can't. They can't drive or they can't afford to get to another venue. So now they're not swimming or not having swimming lessons.
Gemma has been at the forefront of a fundraiser attempt to bring the pool back and remains hopeful of a positive future for the leisure centre.
Oh, there's still hope. That's what we've got to keep going with. We've got to look that we've got really far positively as a community. We're hopefully Falmouth Town Council is taking on the headland, and then they're going to lease the Ships and Castles site to ourselves as Pendennis Leisure, and we will be looking to reopen what we can to get people back up using the centre as much as possible. But as I said, that won't be as a swimming pool, but in also the other part of our project, our plan is to try to access funding, large amounts of funding and grants to build a new swimming pool within the footprint of the site there, which will be sustainable. It will be economical to run, and that will be like a 25-metre pool and a learner pool, which will be for the whole community to use. So kind of got two parts of the plan, if you like.
That was great report from Pablo. It is really important for people to learn how to swim, especially living by the sea. We wish them all the best in their attempts to get the pool open and up and running again. So today is the day the student union elections have closed. By 12 p.m, all the votes were in and the next representatives of the student body have been chosen. We're here with the current student union president, Luke Court, asking him some questions raised by students about the recent vote. Hi there, Luke. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Nice to have you. How much time do you spend at Wood Lane campus for student union duties?
So the SU on Falmouth campus is open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we kind of spread that out between the team, both myself and the other presidents. We try and come down here as much as we can. We're forever listening to students and wanting to hear more about, what we can do for you guys, really. What more stuff you want to see down here. Awesome.
So it sounds like you are quite busy then, really. You do pop down there quite regularly.
Yeah, we're forever kind of yo-yoing to and from Penryn and here. It's fun. It's nice to work in different places.
Sound. And you've got more pubs down this way as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's more going on down here.
And how does the promotion of student elections differ between campuses?
So the promotion for the elections were identical for both campuses, despite the fact that that the only difference being that there's a candidate for the Exeter president, and all Exeter students are based up on Penryn.
Okay.
So there might have been a little bit more footfall, but in terms of promoting to Falmouth students, it was equal, all the same sort of stuff down here. And for my role, President Falmouth, there were 4 candidates, and 2 of which are based on the Falmouth campus. So it was quite literally 50-50.
Even split, yeah. Oh,
So
cool.
pretty good going.
So we're not being left out down here.
Well, we like to think not, but we're always trying to listen to students, and if they feel as though that they're not being represented down here, and that clearly is something that has come up from this interview, we're just always asking students to get in touch with us, email the presidents, get in touch with the Students' Union, literally just come into the office if you've got any ideas at all as to how we can be more present, or if students want to kind of lead their own sort of activities in ways of getting their voices heard, we're open ears.
Oh, so no, it's good to know. Nice one. Yeah, I mean, we kind of already covered this, but yeah, it sounds like you do everything you can to ensure both campuses are represented equally. Do you know what the students want from Wood Lane campus?
So, honestly, again, it's just a thing of trying to keep open ears, and we'll react to what students kind of want us for, honestly. We have a lot of student groups that are based here at the moment, so I know that Fal FemSoc, you've got the Crochet and Knitting Society, you've got Life Drawing, all of those are student union, student-led societies that all operate here from Falmouth campus. I think this is a really great campus for the more kind of artistic-led groups to be based in, because it's just a really great space to be in. And also, it's a lot more close to town, so if you are kind of a second, third year, final year student, you're likely to not be living on Penryn anymore. So yeah, it's just easier to access. So that's a lot of what students feedback about Falmouth campus. But again, any ideas, please get in contact.
I'd say a pool table would be good.
A pool table?
Yeah.
That could be a shout. I'll make that happen.
Awesome. Nice one, Luke. Absolute pleasure.
Awesome. Thank
Diamond,
you so
take
much.
care, buddy.
For extra news bites, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Fox Talk Radio.
This week marks the 4th annual Eating Disorder Awareness Week, a week devoted to destigmatising the complex world of disordered eating, whilst providing sufferees and families with the support they deserve. In honour of this, we sent Tavy to talk to Susie. Susie is the mother of an eating disorder survivor. She shares with us the impact her daughter's disorder had on her own mental well-being, as well as advice she has for parents who find themselves in the same situation.
When you first found out that your child had an eating disorder, what was your initial reaction?
Slight disbelief that it was actually officially an eating disorder, because lots of people have difficulties with their eating, but to have to look at it and realise that it's a formal eating disorder is actually...
Eating disorders are widely recognised as a serious illness with complex psychological and physical treatments. A recent study reported that carers felt an overwhelming sense of shock when their child was diagnosed with an eating disorder. For the most part, this was exacerbated by the diagnosis being unanticipated.
The first thing we tried to do is engage with the GP, which was actually quite difficult, to try and get some clinical support that backed me up as a parent, because obviously the parent-teen relationship can be quite challenging anyway, and to have your mum tell you you've just got to eat more is quite triggering. And after quite a long time, we did get some support. So in the meantime, it was a case of trying to encourage as much food as possible, try and understand where the challenges were, and try and encourage my daughter to eat the food that she felt happy with, and try and encourage her to include as much as possible in her diet.
Eating disorders are widely recognised as a serious illness with complex psychological and physiological characteristics.
That's a complete minefield. It's a complete minefield. It's something that absolutely crucially needs as early an intervention as possible, and you really need an external support network, whether it's through a charity, whether it's through an eating disorder team, counselling professional, somebody who can help you frame the way that you need to interact with the eating disorder as much as your daughter, because the eating disorder absolutely rules the game.
Since 2017, mental health disorders in young people aged 17 to 19 rose from 1 in 10 individuals to a staggering 1 in 4, with similar increases seen across all ages. Meanwhile, youth services have taken a £1 billion hit since 2011, with the YMCA claiming that this lack of investment risks leaving young people feeling more isolated, disregarded and desperate than ever before. On Monday, I met with Youth Art Connect and DISC, two separate charitable groups who are teaming up to tackle mental health, the impacts of poverty and ongoing austerity through the power of art.
My name is Graham Cullis. I am an artist, content creator and seed planter.
I'm Siobhan. I live in Newquay. I studied down at Falmouth Uni. I'm currently training to be a counsellor. Got a few months left and I'll be fully qualified, and then we'll be rolling out some counselling sessions within Youth Art Connect. I've been working with Graham since day one on Youth Art Connect project and just love it, absolutely love it.
So it's a monthly art club which basically introduces the therapeutic benefits of art. It's a mental health initiative. We're now doing 11 to 17s once a month at C-Space, and then an 18s to 30s on the same day, last Saturday of the month.
And we're just about to introduce the first Sunday of every month down at Fish Factory in Penryn. We're doing the same thing, 11 to 17-year-olds first, and then 18 and overs in the afternoon. We've got some people who say, oh, I can only draw a stick person, and then they come along and they do these amazing sort of abstract paintings or abstract drawings. So yeah, it's not about being an artist, it's about having passion to give somebody space to express themselves and be themselves. Especially with the 11 to 17-year-olds, just be a listening ear when they have a little thing that they want to get off their chest. You know, it gives them a space to do that.
It's kind of got the opportunity to sit down and just chill. Jacob has high functioning autism as well, so although we have arts and crafts and stuff at home, having somewhere to come out and not test boundaries as such, but just have a go at getting to a new environment, I think it's really helped. And I find at home, Jacob really struggles for ideas of what to do in art. He could sit with all the things around him and he just can't seem to think what to do. Yet the 2 weeks we've been here, within 2 minutes of walking in, he's creating this amazing piece. I don't know whether it's because there is people here that are running it that can, you know, he feels safe. I don't know. What do you feel like?
I like to think about it. There's more inspiration around. If you're sitting down just looking at like a wall, thinking of what to do, it's not really sparking anything. But when you look at something else or do something to make you have an idea, then it would probably be you, or maybe the different resources that you have here.
We've seen people from the ages of 18 all the way up to like 70 coming along and hanging out with each other and learning from each other, and it's just such a good vibe. I can't explain it, it's just buzzing.
For anyone interested in volunteering or contributing to the Youth Art Connect exhibition coming up, check out their Facebook page, Youth Art Connect CIC.
Chloe Ethorne spoke to Julia Webb Harvey at the opening of 26 Places in Cornwall, which is currently featuring at the Poly, Falmouth.
Wonderful Julia Webb Harvey, one of the co-creators of 26 Places in Cornwall project. 26 Places in Cornwall is an A to Z journey of Cornish places and their richly resonant names through poetry and photography. Here's what Julia said about the project when we spoke.
One of my first loves was geography, so I'm always intrigued by place and places, and being in Cornwall got intrigued by place names and what are the origins and why are some names like Otterham, I'm looking at a picture of Otterham over there, quite anglicised, yet Tywadrath, it's got much more of the Cornish sort of sound and feel to it. So that was the birth of the project.
Something that really drew me to this project is how it examines and celebrates the essence of Cornwall and Cornishness that goes beyond the tourist postcard narrative. Why do you think it's important to explore beyond the clichés of Cornwall?
We who live in Cornwall know that the best bits of Cornwall are probably the ones that the tourists don't see. It's partly about trying to reposition the national perception of Cornwall, but also really to celebrate and go into the kind of crooks and crannies of Cornwall and tease out the places and their meaning. It's just been a glorious way to put layers of history and heritage, but very much kind of from the soil, if you like, almost from the ground of Cornwall.
What would you say has been your favourite part about this project?
The most exciting bit is when the work started to come back. So we had 26 writers, they worked with an editor, then the editors sent their work back to us, and that's where it really started to get to life, where you hear the voices and you start to see the threads between them. And then another really exciting bit was then to send the work out with the photographers, seeing their responses come back as well. So it's this kind of been this beautiful rhythm of work that's come in. But I think the most exciting probably was the writing, because that's what I do and encourage,
How long does the exhibition run for, and when can people come and check it out?
Well, we opened about an hour ago here in the Polly's Gallery on the ground floor. It's open 28th of February until 4th of March, which is Saturday. So we've got 5 days of it here. But I'll give you a little exclusive, Chloe. I think we've got the next location lined up. So which I won't tempt too many fates, but I think it's going to go to Helston next. And my mission is to try and get it sort of popping up in different places in Cornwall, because it's utterly beautiful.
You can find out more about this project on the 26 website, www.26.org.uk.
Fair Trade Fortnight is a sustainability event taking place from the 27th of February till the 12th of March. Emily Rubin attends their first event.
I'm here on Falmouth campus in Fox Cafe, where local community group Fair Trade Falmouth are running a stall. Jake Causley, Sustainability Coordinator for the university, has organised the fortnight of events.
So we're running film screenings showing the links between, it's filmed by Fair Trade and it's profiling 4 different farmers from 4 different industries, and sort of the challenges they're facing on a day-to-day life. So there's 4 film screenings happening. We're doing a quiz takeover of the student quiz, so there's going to be a Fair Trade quiz. Other things that are going on, we've got some open panel sort of discussion sessions on things like coffee, so actually looking beyond Fair Trade, what other things should we consider when we buy things like coffee? And other than that, lots of stall holders, so come visit our space in Fox Cafe on Falmouth campus, or the Upper Stannery in Penryn campus, where most days we've got 1 or 2 stalls related to this stuff. Fair trade is so important for a number of reasons. Supporting fair trade in the badge can help ensure good pay to farmers across the world, but also there's this wider thing about, what choices should we make in the shops, because there's massive power in our wallet and how we choose to spend our money. We've got the Fair Trade Falmouth community group here, so I think trying to get people involved in that would be really good. Like, actually, okay, what more could you do? You could join this community group and actually help push for fair trade. I'm passionate about it because we can have massive indirect positive impacts if we buy fair trade. I want people to leave this campaign understanding that lies in their wallets.
Pat and Mary, members of the Fair Trade Falmouth local group, have spent the day speaking to students and raising awareness.
We do a lot. We're a small working group, but we work very hard. We liaise and try and get the local stores to stock fair trade coffee and fair trade tea. And we're beginning to go around the hotels and see that they have fair trade items in tea and coffee and sugar in their guest rooms. We have given talks to quite a few local groups, such as the Women's Institute and the Rotary Club and Falmouth Civic Society.
The other thing we've done in the past is they've had a tea festival at the Pavilion, and that's a fantastic backdrop for any event. And there were hundreds of people there. We did a fair trade stall there, and we had quite a lot of interest then, didn't we? Yeah, and people were talking about getting their churches involved in fair trade and that. So it was a really good place for us to be promoting fair trade.
The reason that we do that is fair trade is trade justice, because there are millions and millions of poor farmers around the world who are producing the goods that we consume, such as bananas and tea and coffee, and they are exploited by the big international companies. And they have a pittance, perhaps they earn $1 a day. They don't have a voice, they can't grow what they would like to grow. Whereas with fair trade goods, they're able to learn business methods to overcome climate change and adapt their farming.
trying to encourage people to switch, which is the new word this Fair Trade Fortnight, to switch to fair trade, to make that choice for yourself, is the message we're trying to get out. And one of the things that has been said to us in the past is that fair trade's more expensive. So I've recently done a very small study where I've gone to the supermarkets and I've compared fair trade and non-fair trade. I looked at 6 items. I just started to do a small survey, and out of the 6 items, only one was more expensive in the fair trade range. So there is a bit of a myth, about, yes, there are some fair trade products that are expensive because they're handmade, hand-painted, but there are options to buy fair trade that are fairly priced. The more fairly traded things are, the more justice is involved, the more it means that farmers can then pass on their farms to their children, and so then it continues to grow then.
Fair trade is good from every single point of view.
This is from the farmers. Without fair trade, we won't solve the climate crisis. There is no justice without trade justice.
This is Funky Fox, the weekly music segment bringing Cornish concerts to you. I'm Naomi. And this is Archie. You're listening to Fox Talk Radio.
This week, Archie spoke to Barry and the Crumpets, who are performing at the Cornish Bank on the 23rd of March.
Hiya, we are Barry and the Crumpets. We are a 4-piece funk fusion band originally formed in Falmouth, Cornwall. Nowadays, we live 50% in Cornwall with Tan Francois on the guitar and Sam Matthews on the drums, still living in Cornwall. Myself, Chaz, living in Brighton, and our bassist Jack Wojtowicz living in Bristol.
Where does the name Barry and the Crumpets come from?
It's a bit of an unusual story how we ended up with the name Barry and the Crumpets. I wanted to start a brass trio, actually, a long time ago. I was about 14, I think, or 13, and I recruited a baritone horn player and a trumpet player, and then myself, I was on the cornet. So Barry comes from baritone horn, and cornet and trumpet makes crumpets, so therefore Barry and the Crumpets. We started jamming, and we were just very satisfied with the name. We've always loved the name, and everyone else always has, so we've kept it. That's why we're called Barry and the Crumpets.
You released your EP in 2020. Can you tell us a bit about the band's creative process when making Baked Beans on Coast?
So our released album on platforms, Baked Beans on Coast, we recorded that in 2019. To be honest, we'd been going as a band then for a while, but very casually. We got offered by Simon Neild from Source FM to use his studio to record once he saw us at Park Live, and we accepted, and it was a great opportunity for us, and we released an album.
How do you compare playing gigs in Cornwall compared to elsewhere?
We haven't played much outside of Cornwall because that's where we were formed, and that's where we've grown a following, so it doesn't make much sense to go outside. But that being said, we would love to, and we are going to, and we have got a kind of mini tour booked in Bristol soon. And I guess every sort of city does have its own vibe, and that's really nice. And I do love seeing the kind of different tones of the audiences that the different cities offer, really. One notable gig we did have outside of Cornwall was, I think, in the end of 2020, and that was in London. And I think the kind of main difference there, which I would say felt different to Cornwall, is just that we've got a completely different new crowd, and they've never heard our songs before, and they're liking it, And I think that's what's really touches me when I see people who have never heard our songs before, and they like it, which I think is really kind of has always been a relative strength of the band, because our genre is quite accessible to kind of everyone.
You're scheduled to perform at the Cornish Bank on the 23rd of March. What can we expect from your live performance?
We're quite loosely defined in terms of genre because it's kind of at its core, it's funk, but it has influences from reggae, rock, blues, and jazz, because I'm primarily a jazz musician nowadays. Tan is primarily a kind of progressive rock musician. Sam more jazz, and then Jack more on the side of rock again. So we kind of meet in the middle at funk as the main one, but all of our influences come in through there. And with that said, there is kind of something for everyone, and it's very age inclusive across the age groups. We have good following, which is nice. So I just love that about our music, how that you don't have to be into a certain style of music to like it necessarily.
You're scheduled to perform at the Cornish Bank on the 23rd of March. What can we expect from your live performance?
No two gigs are the same, of course. But we do have a couple of new songs which we'll be throwing in there that we haven't played before. Apart from that, we'll just be trying to bring the energy, get everyone on the floor dancing, and say hello to Cornwall again, because I've been away from there for a long time for now.
Are you working on any future projects for listeners to get excited about?
Yes, we are working on projects at the moment. We are working on recording. We have some recording sessions booked in April, and hopefully I'm hoping that at least by autumn we might have 1 or 2 tracks out again. So we're very excited for that, because it has been so long since we released something and we really want it to sound good. A new thing as well we have is merch. We decided to start selling merch recently because people have been asking for it for a long time, and we really need to put together the funds for recording. So we have t-shirts available, and I might add, if anyone is going to the gig on the 23rd at the Cornish Bank, we will be selling t-shirts there, so make sure to grab one.
On to some local sports news now, and our reporter Callum Walker has been talking to a player at the heart of last month's CSM Sporting win.
It's the varsity bottle match between CSM and RSM of Imperial College London, and in that time I caught up with Edward Russell, a player that was on the field for both the rugby and lacrosse teams for CSM. In an interview, he told me what it felt like in the build-up to the game, and you'll also hear what he had to say about the euphoria of winning both sports games and an unlikely proposal from a major outfit.
Rugby was amazing, I think, just because of the tradition associated with it, and that leading up to the rugby bottle win, we'd had lectures on the history of the bottle, the lads who won it before us, and it was we sort of made very much aware of how important it was to not only the players that were playing in the match at the minute, but also the players that played before us. I think to win that, to bring that back, there was an incredible sense of pride, probably more so than emotion. There was more lacrosse than rugby. Yeah, I had a little bit of a moment. I think it was far more emotional for me, the lacrosse bottle win, because as captain of the team, you know, you train them all year, and you know, you're very proud of your squad. And squad's been through tough times with membership and not getting enough people in, and it's caused a lot of stress. So to finally go somewhere and clinch a win after all the hard work you've put in is certainly an emotional one. Yeah.
But it wasn't just wins on the field for Ed. After the game, he was approached by an affiliate of an elite international lacrosse team.
So the referee pulled me aside at the end of the game, and she invited me to try out for the Lions team, which is the best mixed lacrosse players in the UK, and if you like, the elite lacrosse team in the UK. So she's invited me to trials at Oxford. The team's currently playing out in Portugal for the Euro Lacrosse Mixed Sixes tournament. So I'm going to hopefully head down there at the end of March and see if I can get a slot in the team. And if I do, it means a lot of travelling to Europe and elsewhere. Yeah.
Well, I think I speak for everyone here at Fox Talk that we wish Ed good luck in his trials at Oxford. To focus on more national news involving the royal family, now we have our royal commentator, Bobby Angelov. Bobby, you've met quite a few of the royals, including the King and the Prince and Princess of Wales. Can you tell us about the latest news regarding the coronation?
Thank you for this, Amy. Starting first, of course, with the great news that choristers from the Truro Cathedral Choir will sing at His Majesty's coronation, which is a great achievement for them to add to their accolades as well as being one of the best in the country. And it is what the King wants more, really. It's diversity at the coronation. We will, of course, hear the classic the classics from Handel, from Elgar and Parry, but also especially a sampled gospel choir called the Accession Choir Girl choristers from Truro Cathedral, and the consistently amazing school choir of Methodist College in Belfast. This was part of the choir from Truro Choir, the Truro Cathedral Choir. But to focus more on the programme, particularly notable too will be the contribution from the Byzantine Chant Ensemble. It includes some of the oldest Christian music kept alive by the Greek Orthodox Church. Of course, this is also a specific tribute to the Greek origins of Charles's father, as we know, the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. But he also chimes with Charles's famous wish to be protector of all faiths, rather than just the defender faith of the Anglican Church. His Majesty is also working with Lloyd Webber. Charles has quite a lot of experience in organising such events, so he knows all the right people to include in this jubilant period that the coronation weekend will be.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a brilliant performance. But another story that's getting a lot of attention in the press today is that King Charles has decided to evict Harry and Meghan from Frogmore Cottage. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, after an exclusive article for the Sun newspaper, as we've read today, we learned that in no less than 24 hours after Prince Harry had published his book Spare, His Majesty had made the important decision. Frogmore Cottage was given to Harry, of course, by his dear granny, the late Queen Elizabeth. It is a 5-bedroom cottage based in Windsor Castle estate, and the couple, and is of course is the quite ridiculously enough, is the cottage that the couple complained that it wasn't big enough for them. It was too small for them, which was also a reason for them to be ridiculed. Another sources claim that senior royals backed the king in his decision, as he wants to also move Prince Andrew into it, as he and his former wife, Sarah Ferguson, are to be evicted from their previous property. His Majesty wants to also close both matters with Harry, Meghan and Prince Andrew right after the coronation, so he could start on a new clean sheet and start working with the only working royals. One could perhaps say that also Charles was observing the Great War saying of for a long period of keep calm and carry on, but of course, quite rightly, after Harry made his ridiculous attacks on our current queen, Camilla, and claiming that she leaked stories to the press, the queen, I think, the king, quite rightly, has taken the matter very seriously. Harry and Meghan are now living lavishly in their multi-million mansion, and their popularity has fallen lower than the one of Prince Andrew. And to end it, I would say, they have no one to blame but themselves.
Well, it's definitely an interesting opinion there, shown by Bobby, our resident outspoken royalist and political commentator. And if you agree or maybe even disagree, like I do, with anything Bobby said, please do get in touch at Fox Talk Radio on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter. Next up, we have Liv Marsden talking about graduation with Falmouth alumni Liz Dale.
Graduating university is both an exciting and terrifying experience. In the UK, there are now 36.4 million graduates, that's over half of our population. However, since 2020, new graduates have been facing an unemployment rate of 17%. For many, getting a job out of uni can be nerve-wracking. The third years on journalism and creative writing told me about their concerns.
I'm feeling a bit nervous, to be honest, because I guess career progression is now the next thing to think about, and the consistency of education is being taken away. But I am excited because then obviously lots of opportunity.
Well, interestingly enough, I don't feel anything really. I don't feel the excitement of it. Main goal really is getting on with my assessments and my final year things, and perhaps maybe that's why my sort of end of goal thing, and then I could feel very much excited about it finishing.
Every Wednesday, Falmouth University hosts Employability Hour, bringing in alumni to talk about their careers and allowing students to ask questions about their own. I spoke to Liz Dow, one of our Employability Hour guests, about her career and life since graduating Falmouth Uni in 2018 with a first in journalism and creative writing. What was your first job coming out of uni?
So I'd already picked up a couple of freelance jobs while I was still at uni. One of them was for My Cornwall magazine and the other one was the Falmouth Packet. And I continued writing for them, and then I went on to pick up some work for local websites, so basically writing content for them about perhaps the area that their business was in.
And sort of, have you been able to support yourself freelancing?
No, basically, if I'm brutally honest, no, I haven't. I think that it's a very difficult world, especially when you are someone like me who is quite specific about what I am writing about and who I'm writing for. So 90% of my work is for local Cornish businesses, and 99% of what I write about is Cornwall. So that in a way limits me, but that's what I love to do. So I'm willing to have that payoff between having to have a part-time job and the freelance stuff on the side. But I thoroughly enjoy what I do. So, and I've never been one of those people that wants to be a millionaire. I'm quite happy with with just ticking along, you know.
And have you got sort of any advice for people looking to go into freelancing?
Just be really open to opportunities. Try and say yes before you say no. You know, try and think along the lines of, you might not see what that opportunity is quite yet, but it might, you know, transform into something else down the line. Just try and be really, really open to everything and give everything a chance and be open to people.
Well, that was interesting. What do you want to do after graduation, Amy?
I've got lots of plans. Whether or not they'll come to fruition is a whole different story. But what do you want to do after graduation?
I've got a few things in mind. I'd like to go into documentaries, I think. Something quite edgy, you know.
Good fun.
Ross Kemp style, I'd say. So, as today is World Teen Mental Wellness Day, Emma went to investigate what is being done in Falmouth to help teens with their mental health.
Today is World Teen Mental Wellness Day. I visited a local yoga studio in Falmouth to speak to Daisy, a yoga teacher who works with teenagers to find out just how powerful yoga can be for their mental well-being.
To just check in with how you're feeling and listening to what your body needs. I think that's a really important lesson for us all, but most importantly teenagers. The pressures that they've got from social media and the society that we live in, it can be really powerful for them to get into their bodies and get into their minds and just actually see what's going on in a safe and supportive environment, which is really powerful for them. In our teen yoga classes, we focus a lot on breath work, which is really amazing because it helps regulate the nervous system. It helps us slow down, it helps us come back into the moment, which is really important for our mental health to do that, to make time for that. And then we focus on mindfulness exercises throughout our practice. So sometimes when we're holding stretches, I'll get them to kind of observe their thoughts without any judgment. And I think that's a really important lesson for not only teens again, but for all of us. We do a lot of mindfulness and also just getting into your body. We play a lot around with some balancing as well, which is great for their confidence because it's teaching them how to fall, and that can be that's on the yoga mat, but you can take that into day-to-day, how to fall in life and failures and stuff like that, having fun with that, finding understanding and acceptance.
Daisy herself struggled with mental health in her teenage years.
I struggled in my teens with an eating disorder, and I was really hard on myself and didn't know what self-esteem was. I didn't know what self-love was, self-care was at all. I was really in my head a lot, and that didn't really exist when I was younger. And I think a lot of the parents will understand and relate to that as well, that there wasn't that much support. Still to this day, there isn't enough. There is a lot, but there isn't enough. So yeah, I can definitely relate to, I wish that it did happen when I was younger, for sure.
When it comes to well-being, particularly in teens, Daisy believes there is definitely more work to be done.
Yoga's huge, and looking after our well-being is huge, and it's being spoke about, which is great, but mostly to adults, and not enough to kids and teens. And I think the most important one is just teaching them how to build resilience. They've just had a few years of being locked in their houses and everything, so resilience hasn't really been tested or hasn't been there. And I think the most important part of what we're doing is helping them find that.
Oh, that's great to know. Plenty of people are doing stuff to better young people's mental health. I've never tried yoga personally. What about yourself, Amy?
I've tried yoga, but I've heard that you've tried something a bit more interesting than yoga, maybe.
Yeah, well, it's Kalari. It's an ancient Indian martial art. I'm looking to study for a month at a retreat in Italy, run by my friend. So looking forward to that.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Oh. That was Fox News Radio. I've been Amy Coleman.
And I've been Tom Barwell Best. And to play you out, this is 8 Rabbits and a Skunk by Barry and the Crumpets. Enjoy.